We always age in a forward rotational direction. So the muscles in the back of the body, if we don't have proper postural foundations, they're having to do a job that's not their job, which is hold us up from tipping. So that's where we start to store. And so, yes, I mean, whether it's physical or emotional, it's all the same on the inside because the response to pain, fear, and stress is to reactively hold the breath. So it all gets tied into the breath. And then this is where it gets really interesting because the feet, the hands, and the head, these are the areas that are furthest from your engine, feet particularly. So the patterning of what happens with those traumas get locked into your feet. That is where that magnetic seal holds us with the strongest force. So let's say I even have like a shoulder pain or frozen shoulder, and you're going for shoulder treatments, but part of the reason for your shoulder pain is going to be this negative alignment that's going to be locked in and held by your feet. So you can go for treatments, but you start walking
Right.
and you get pulled back into this negative alignment at your feet. So when we're talking fascia and how to help the body, we have to look at the whole structure and we have to see where are the cause sites to the issue sites. Scoliosis, really easy to understand this. You know, if you're looking at the spine, you see the curve or whatever it is, but the limbs are really what's driving that because as they start to pull out of alignment, they start manipulating the core of the body. So that's the thing. Like, we really have to understand if you're feeling pain or issue somewhere, working on that, you know, it might be helpful
Right.
temporarily to manage,
Right.
but if you want to get through it, you have to go to the source. And the feet and the hands and the head and your diaphragm, like it's all interwoven and interconnected.
Yeah, isn't that something? It seems to me the more we try to be reductionist in science and we there's a time and a place for that. I'm not throwing that under the bus, but it seems to me the more it causes us to pull back and say, okay, I'm I'm, I'm glad we went down that rabbit hole. We understand this very reductionist principle, but without viewing that in this much greater holistic sense, I think that it loses a lot of its meaning, which is why I think most of the time when we see in popular literature, new study says, my BS meter goes off. I'm like, that's probably meaningless because of that. Now, you had mentioned there were these three pillars when it comes to this fascial health, and we mentioned breathing being one of them. I think we can clearly see why. What are the other two pillars?
So again, it's the goal is optimal space in and around every cell. So the three pillars are creating space, inflating space, and maintaining space. So with the work that I teach, may I show the tools so
Absolutely, yeah.
people
And
can
so you
see?
might want to describe for the folks that more people will listen to this than watch this. So yeah, as you're going
Okay,
along.
yeah.
Yep.
So block therapy is my website is
Hmm.
blocktherapy.com, but we've got tools made of wood. The reason that these tools, there's the Block Buddy, the Block Baby, two different sizes, and we even have a block paddle, which is fascinating for the face and for other parts of the body. But all these tools, they're made of wood. And the reason that they're made of wood and specifically shaped is because what we teach you to do is lie on the tool. So you're using, instead of my hands as a therapist going into your tissue and working it, we teach you how to do this as a self-care practice. So you lie on the tool and pressure over time creates heat. And no matter what, we always start in the belly. If whether we're working on the ankle, the head, the arm, we start in the belly so that we teach people where your breath should come from. Because again, if you're breathing through the muscles of the upper chest, sometimes it can take a little bit of time to learn how to breathe through your belly, especially if, like me, as a kid, I was a dancer, I was told, hold your belly in. So you hold your belly in because you want it to look a certain way. Now I'm forced to breathe through the muscles of
Mm,
the upper chest,
yeah.
but now I've created this weak diaphragm foundation of my rib cage, so it starts crashing down into the core and then my belly expands. So it takes you in that opposite direction. So as we're lying on the belly and we're teaching you to breathe, we stay in a minimum of 3 minutes in each position because we need time to create that heat. That starts to get to those adhesions and it starts to release it. So combining the pressure from the block, whatever position we're in, with teaching proper diaphragmatic breathing, we're creating space with the tool. We are inflating the space by directing the breath into these newly open spaces. So these cells that have been blocked from flow, now you're getting them to respond and they take that oxygen and they start plumping up. So now we're inflating that space that was compressed prior. And then the third pillar is maintaining that space, teaching people proper postural foundations. If you pretty much look at anybody standing, nobody's standing as they should be. Even anatomical position of the hands, if you look at a skeleton, palms are facing forward. Everybody's walking around with their palms facing the back, and that creates internal rotation of the arms, which causes the rib cage to come down, and so on and so on. So that's part of the education is, how are we supposed to be seated? We don't want to be shifting over to one side of the body, because then that creates a patterning. And those are the things that are going to create issues like scoliosis, chronic hip and back pain. I mean, you name it, it's pretty much everything. So those are the pillars, and we make it really, really simple for people to simply dive in, start the journey, and start to feel the changes immediately, because we always begin first in the rib cage and the core, so we can start to unlock your diaphragm. And then the more we unlock it, the deeper the breath goes. So you're pulling again more oxygen in, your body starts to respond right away. We're detoxing more effectively. So you feel lighter, you feel cleaner. And again, we're tapping into that parasympathetic nervous system. So you feel calm immediately from doing this work, not to mention all of the other crazy benefits that you get from it.
Yeah,